This year's Maryland Life Sciences Bioinnovation Conference is sponsored by Johnson & Johnson Innovation. JLabs at Washington, D.C. is a life science and healthcare incubator located at the new Children's National Research and Innovation Campus. JLabs at Washington, D.C. serves as the hub for Blue Night, a joint initiative between JLabs and the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors for their support of this year's Maryland Life Sciences Bioinnovation Conference. This next panel discussion focuses on biotech careers. Here is your moderator, Uliana Desiderio.
Oh man, that is bright.
That is really bright.
It's all right.
So this water is mine, huh?
Yep. Everybody okay?
Hello. Ooh, it's bright.
So, shall we begin? Is everybody ready? Can everybody hear us? All right. Well, good afternoon and welcome everyone. I am Uliana Desiderio with the Maryland Department of Commerce. I want to thank the Maryland Tech Council for organizing this conference and providing a platform for this important discussion today. We're going to keep this fun and informal. You can see we're very cozy here today up on the stage, so hopefully by the end of the session, everybody's going to walk away feeling optimistic, energized, and most importantly, inspired. So allow me to take a few minutes just to set the stage, as it were, for this discussion. We all know and we've heard today that the life sciences industry globally, nationally, and obviously in our region is undergoing significant growth, driving strong demand for workforce. We also know that the Maryland region possesses a robust talent pipeline that can support this increased growth. Let me just stop for a second and celebrate the fact that an increased demand for workforce and a robust supply for talent are good things. They are hallmarks of a thriving sector. So to support this growth, the Maryland Life Science Advisory Board and the Maryland Tech Council joined forces to help better connect employers and local talent throughout our state. We have a great panel today representing companies that are involved in this effort. I won't spend a lot of time going through everybody's bios. You can find them in your book and online, but I will just go from my left to the end of the panel, so maybe you can just hold your hand up. Brian Stamper, Kite Farmer. Kashana Roller from GlaxoSmithKline. Michael Nestor from Johnson & Johnson Innovation and JLabs in Washington, D.C. And last but absolutely not least, Joe Sanchez with AstraZeneca.
Hello, everyone.
So without further ado, I would like to ask Joe and Brian, who are the co-chairs of this important effort, to give us their perspective on what it means to them and what we've been able to accomplish so far. Joe, how about we start with you?
Oh, thank you, Uliana. So first, I'd like to sort of extend that gratitude towards everyone who's been involved in the LSAB MTC Workforce Development Task Force. We've had a very inclusive representation, not just from the industry voices that you're going to hear today, but also from academic leaders and also the reskilling and retraining leadership out there in the region, and also nonprofit groups. And I want to especially thank Department of Commerce for Uliana and the Maryland Tech Council for Michelle Ferrone, if she's out there. I think I see Michelle here in the front. Not just for their participation, but for their leadership. Without these two people, we would not have the progress to celebrate here with you today. So a couple of thoughts on this workforce thus far. Number one, this is data-driven. We wanted to make evidence-based decisions and analyze the problem that we've been hearing about workforce development, workforce preparedness, And it's true. We've learned that we have what we need in the region. We just may not be connected to it as well as we should be. And so we took data from, there was a Milken report actually in 2020 that showed, as far as output of educated workforce, Maryland ranks number 2 in the country, just for sheer output of degrees. And then more importantly, outside of the academic output, if you look at the breadth of talent that we have here, the depth of talent, the ability for that talent to catalyze innovative leaps and disrupt our industry, we're ranked number 1. So I think that's a really, really good sign. We also looked at data that was coming out of the academic systems, both in the public universities and the private universities. We looked at where these students were going first, so what was their first step outside of their training in college. And what we noticed there is that perhaps they're not tracking towards our industry as much as we would like for them to. Right? There's a lot of competition for that talent, and it points to a marketing problem. So I think number 1 is that we realize that we need to do a better job marketing the opportunities that are really available. The second takeaway, I think, is that there still seems to be a misconception about the education required to get started in our industry. And that's probably an issue with how we project ourselves publicly, what you see on commercials or on the internet, where we're always dressed in white lab coats with safety glasses and pipettes in our hands. And what it's communicating is that you need a tremendous amount of education and training and experience to even qualify to join this industry, and that's simply not true. So we do need to turn that narrative around, and we're looking for an opportunity to counter that narrative as early in the talent pipeline as possible. And so if we can get to those elementary schoolers and middle schoolers and high schoolers and the parents and the family members and the communities that are influencing that talent, educate them about what it is we really do, we have an opportunity to get more students to fill that funnel. And what it also means is that there's probably some untapped talent pools that need to be explored further. And we're looking for people that perhaps have solved problems in a different industry, and we need to bring those problem-solving skills to our industry. So we just want to send that message that we invite everyone, we're inclusive, and we are looking to broaden the diversity of talent that is tracking towards our industry.
That's great, very good. So thank you. Yeah, again, thank you to Liana and Michelle for keeping us rolling and cracking the whip when we need the whip crack to keep us moving this year. What an exciting time for the industry, right? I mean, this is such a fantastic conversation that we have the opportunity to say we have so much work to do and so much opportunity to help society and to improve patients' well-being and to really be there. I mean, think about the work that AstraZeneca does and Kite does and other companies do that in many cases save lives, right? We're now talking about the word cure for diseases that we never even imagined we would say the word cure for in the past. And now it is our opportunity and frankly our responsibility to do something about it. So this panel and what we've been working on for quite some time now is our stab at that to solve that issue and to really make it a positive environment for people to join the industry from all walks of life, as Joe was saying, right? We want to be very inclusive and consider people from everywhere. Because we don't just need scientists and PhDs and things, right? There's a place for that, and it's very critical, and we must have it. However, I also need people to work in the warehouse. I need people to be working in the manufacturing floor from day to day. I need people to be doing business and financial analytics, those types of things. There's all kinds of different things we need to have in the industry. And so what we're looking for is, as a group here, what we're trying to do is to create that opportunity. The one thing that, in addition to what Joe said, another area I think that we need to do beyond marketing is to create those experiential opportunities. And that's really the industry's responsibility to step up and do something about that. We need to partner, obviously, very, very closely with academia and government institutions. But that's something where I think we could really make a difference and create those inroads to get that talent into the industry. And we're, frankly, very excited about the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, well, speaking for myself, I know it's been an eye-opening experience for me just learning about all the wonderful opportunities we have here in Maryland for really, like I said, different people at different career levels to enter this exciting industry. Those of you who know me know that I am kind of a glass full person, not even half full. So I want to take this opportunity really to celebrate our successes as an industry, as an ecosystem, and remind ourselves how we got here, how we got to this wonderful growth that we're experiencing right now. So what I would like to ask is for each panelist to spend a few minutes in talking about what their company is doing to engage talent at different stages of their career in education and training locally. So let's start from the middle. We're going to Kashana and then Michael.
Okay, thank you, Uliana. Again, my name is Kashana Rollaire, and I work for GSK in Rockville. And I would say over the last few years, we have definitely increased our reach in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. We've done a lot of branding and showing up in terms of presence. And the main goal, just echoing what everyone's saying here, is to just get the word out there that we do have opportunities in all areas, all educational backgrounds, all levels of education. We've had the opportunity, I would say in the last 3 to 4 years, to really start broadcasting our apprentice program, which has been tremendous because we've been able to go into Montgomery County Public Schools and work with high school seniors who may not feel that the traditional 4-year degree is right for them. And we've been able to give them opportunities to come into GSK and work. We pay them full time. We pay them to go to school, and they get full-time benefits. And one of the great things about that is we've shared with them that biotech is not just about working in the labs. Our first apprenticeship was actually around instrumentation and calibration, and we have now branched off into quality control testing and also biopharma manufacturing, which can be working with glass washers, not only doing bioreactors and things to that nature. The other really exciting thing that we've done that I actually spearheaded was create an employee-led recruitment team. And that is cool because it's a win-win situation where we have employees working for GSK go out and be ambassadors. So we go into high schools, we go into colleges and universities, we go to professional organizations, anything that you feel connected to. Like for instance, I am a University of Virginia graduate, so I typically go back to UVA, or I'm in the National Society of Black Engineers. I will go to conferences or professional meetings. And we just share with them the different opportunities that we have. We've also done a lot of campaigning on LinkedIn, YouTube videos, just showing what it looks like inside of the manufacturing facility. We've also partnered with Montgomery College and brought in some of their students for a job overview session and then did round robin interviews to allow them to apply for some of our direct placement positions. We've also had the opportunity to work with Montgomery College and also Anne Arundel Community College to partner with them on some grants to allow them to get additional funding for some of their programs. And last but not least, we've worked with the colleges to do reviews of curriculum. So if they want to do like a boot camp for career changers or any curriculum to prepare students to come into some of these entry-level positions at GSK, we work with them to review that curriculum and ensure that they are training up these students to be potential employees for us one day. So those are a few things that we've done at GSK to help broaden our pipeline for entry-level positions.
Thanks, Kashana. Michael?
Johnson & Johnson Innovation JLabs is a new early stage incubator, no strings attached incubator in our region. And we're really just getting started and really engaging in the community, looking in the external space and working with partners to buttress and really support early stage innovation. So by virtue of that, by virtue of encouraging entrepreneurship through some of our programming that we have currently and we have planned, and also through getting out there and having conversations one-on-one with early stage entrepreneurs at our academic, with our academic partners, we're trying to engage people that normally may not have access to our pipeline. Particularly, we really lean in to encouraging early stage entrepreneurship from women and minority entrepreneurs. And we try to also create the environment where entrepreneurship on campus, on the academic campus, is something where there's a pipeline for and where you can go to. So those programs, along with, you heard earlier today about our Blue Knight program, which allows us to really engage with public-private partnerships in our region. really hope to work with our partners to build that external space for entrepreneurship. And then when those small companies come into our incubator, they're generating jobs and opportunities for local people in our region at different levels of education, not just for PhD scientists, but as already mentioned, for people who are coming out of bachelor's degree programs, master's degree programs that would be interested in working in the early stage environment. And oftentimes these early stage companies where they're at in this part of the pipeline can set the stage for people to have really robust careers as they move forward and over the long term. So we're excited. We're just getting started. So we're excited for what we're going to be doing in 2022 with a lot of this programming, and really excited to be on this panel with all these great people.
We'll be watching you, Michael. No pressure. Joe, how about you next?
Yeah, sure. So I'll take this in two pieces. So outreach and then programming by the company. So for outreach, we really are trying to follow early talent longitudinally. So we have investment in STEM programming for middle schoolers, a program called Generation Health. Anyone in the world can access this program, and it provides education on our therapeutic areas. It also provides some lesson plans for teachers that are teaching STEM in their classrooms. These resources are also available to parents who might be teaching at home. And it's also available to our employees who want to do outreach and do volunteer work in their school communities. They can take these materials and do hands-on experiments with the students. When you get to high school, we're trying to bring the students into our facilities and provide tours, provide experiences. We like to gown them up. We love to do chromatography experiments with them. And then our STEM ambassadors, will also go out into the school systems and do mentorship and inspire the kids there in the classroom. For the two-year colleges, we have experience doing curriculum reform. We have experience doing donation programs, right? So let's not assume that the schools have the resources and the equipment to train the next generation. If we have consumables that we don't, they're just rotting on a shelf or they're about to expire, we can get them somewhere where they have some use. If we're decommissioning equipment, again, there's an opportunity to get this equipment into places where they have nothing. So we've been successful there. We've also provided our curriculum, so our boot camp curriculum that we use internally. We just, we hand it over and say, listen, if you're interested in developing a boot camp to support us, this is what we're looking for. When you get to the four-year colleges, we are involved in remodeling the training programs, developing new coursework. We also help develop new degree programs, new certification programs. We also teach at the collegiate level. So our employees love to give back and do some teaching. And so that's how we're impacting those four-year colleges. And then at the grad level and the doctoral and postdoc level, we do a lot of mentorship. And for example, next month we're going to do our third round of mentorship with the NIH postdoc community, and that's going to be focused on how to market themselves effectively through their resumes, and then what to expect in the application process and the hiring process. Okay, so those are examples of our outreach. Programmatically, we have a very healthy summer internship program. In the U.S., we're offering, on average, more than 150 summer interns opportunities. We also have an apprenticeship program, which is similar to what we call a co-op here, where the students are still in school, but they're taking time out to actually do some work with us, and that's been very successful. We have a global graduate program. That's a 2-year program where someone who already has a degree is coming into the company, and they do 3 8-month rotations globally. They can travel around the world to do these rotations, and at the end of those 3 rotations, they get to select what part of the business resonated with them the most to start their position. And then we do have doctoral programs in place, and we have a large contingent of postdoctoral opportunities as well. In fact, just those early talent programs, from the apprenticeship to the postdocs, we had 700 people come through in 2020, which was an increase from 2019, which is amazing. The one program I'll point out that I'm really excited about, it's just in a pilot phase, in the UK, but we are starting to bring in the non-degrees. I think I heard Kashana mention, again, we have students out there that aren't ready for college. Maybe college just isn't for them, but they are passionate, they're hungry, they want to outwork everyone else. And so we're trying to bring this talent in as well and give it an opportunity. Give them an opportunity to shine. And what's going to happen is, yeah, they're going to hit a ceiling at some point. They're going to need more education at some point. But a company like AZ provides $10,000 per year per employee for continuing education. So if they do find that they need more degrees or more education, we work with them to find the flexibility, and we support them financially to do that.
Wow, Brian, I don't know if you can top that.
I think I'm done.
Let's hear a little. What do you got going on, Brian?
Yeah, no, it's exciting. So Kite, so we're Kite Pharma. So we have only been here on the East Coast for a couple of years. Actually, the facilities in Frederick County. We're finishing up our validation runs actually this week, which we're very excited about, and then we'll begin commercial production in a few months. So we're not left to the stage that Joe is at AZ. It's quite a long, healthy list. But what I will say we've had the opportunity to do already is to have some great partnerships formed within Frederick County. And so where it started, I'll say, was probably with Hood College. That's a four-year school in Frederick County, working with Andrea and Chuck and Debbie there and the leadership team at Hood, so we could establish a lab on their campus in which we can use to train our staff. And so one of the things early on, the early benefit was obvious. We did not have a facility that was ready for us to move into yet. It was moved into earlier this year. So we were able to put our staff there, get them trained up, teach them the basics of cell and gene therapy, the fundamentals, and then we can start to bring them back on site, of course, as we start to staff up. But then the really exciting part about that partnership is then working with Debbie and actually meeting with her later this week again, is to start to work that into the Hood College curriculum, like Kashana and Joe were saying about influencing the curriculum. And now we can get staff who come from Hood. They've come through the lab, they've seen the equipment, they understand the basics and the fundamentals, non-proprietary, say that part for the lawyers. They understand the basics of what cell and gene therapy is about, and they come into the workforce and they're ready to rock and roll. And it's really an exciting opportunity, I think, for those students to come through, and we're very excited to see that continue. In addition, similar to what Kashana described with Montgomery College, we have our first apprentice on site at Kite, I'm very excited to say. So Sydney started 2 weeks ago. She's a full-time student at Frederick Community College. So she's taking evening classes and working for us during the day. So actually one class is only offered during the day, so we're making accommodations to allow her to attend that class while she continues to work for us. Full-time, full benefits, the whole smash. And it sets her up, obviously, frankly, it'd be a heck of a deal if it was me in those shoes. It's a great deal for her to get her off and running, and we're very excited to try that out as a pilot for us this year with FCC, and we're very excited about the opportunity to continue that and, again, expand that into next year. Sydney works in manufacturing. She works in my shop, so she is kind of the equivalent of a cell therapy specialist, which is what we call our manufacturing technicians, and so we're excited to get her to be part of the team, and so it's a very fun time. In addition, we have things like tuition reimbursement, partnering with schools, talk about curriculum development, those types of things, a healthy intern program. Last year was a little weird with COVID, and so all of our interns were virtual, but we still had to make it a positive environment, so they still had lots of networking opportunities and connections they could make with people in Kite around the world, frankly, which actually COVID in a strange way helped. So that was very fun, and we're excited about growing from here.
That's wonderful, and I know that there are a lot of companies out there with stories like this here in this room and probably joining us virtually. Some of them we know about, stories like this, and others we really want to learn more about. So please contact us, contact the Maryland Tech Council. Share your stories with us. Let us help you tell them and spread the word, and importantly, inspire others that would want to be engaged in this way. So do contact us. Speaking of this, are there any other examples that you guys wanted to share that we didn't get to that perhaps go outside of our region and maybe more nationally or maybe some global trends? Kashana, how about you?
Yes. So one of the things that is very important for this industry, as you know, it's continually growing and we're going to need more and more skilled workers. And so one of the things nationally that GSK is doing is a program called Science in the Summer, and that program is focused on elementary age, so planting the seed early, getting them excited about science, and it takes a community effort. So that program partners with local libraries, community centers, to provide those opportunities. And it's been around for many years, but last year we were able to touch over 25,000 students because we had about 32 sites nationally. Another program that we have on a national level, but is focused in the Philadelphia area, is called the Philadelphia STEM Equity Collective. And that's important because that program is truly focused on closing the gap with underrepresented groups in STEM. So it focuses on women, African American and Latino communities. And that allows GSK employees to volunteer their time within schools. It has also committed over $10 million. So for the next 10 years, GSK has committed $1 million in grants to any nonprofit organization, local government who has an in-school program or out-of-school program or just a program in the community that is focused on closing that gap. So that's something that's important. Like right now, we have a lot of focus on preparing students who are seniors or in community college or in college, but we need to think about that pipeline and just instilling in our children the importance of STEM and allowing them to see their part and in all communities. Because right now, when we look at executive levels, we have a kind of an imbalance in terms of those underrepresented groups, women, and so forth. So we've done a lot nationally and regionally with establishing those pipelines.
Michael, anything from you? I know Joe has a lot of examples covering the entire North America, but I want to give him a break. And let's see, Michael, how about you?
I'm afraid to go before Joe.
Oh.
I'm afraid to go after Joe.
Exactly.
So we, again, we're early here in the region, but regionally, we've been really working with both our academic and our government partners. Again, you heard earlier about our Blue Knight program, and really that is the public-private partnership. We've heard a lot of themes today about how we have to do things differently. This is going to be a new world, and it requires a lot of people working together. So the Blue Knight program is a global program. We have 13 sites, JLabs sites, the newest one being here in DC. And so we're able to reach across our global partners to bring together public and private partnerships, the hub of which is in our region here. And so that's sort of one approach we've taken. The other approach that we've taken to, again, contributing to our pipeline and encouraging entrepreneurship, which then ultimately leads to opportunity at all levels of education here in our region. And this is also a global effort as well across all of our sites, are through what we call our quickfire challenges. And so that gives us an opportunity to give direct funding and time in our JLabs incubators to companies that are working on specific areas of interest. And just recently, we had a partnership with the DC Mayor's Office to put together a quickfire challenge that looked at health inequities. And we were able to bring in companies led by women, minorities, and other groups that are looking at specific healthcare challenges that are affecting those groups of individuals. So that really helps us reach both locally, but then also globally, because those quickfire challenges are in many different areas and different regions across the country. And building that pipeline around those types of really focused activities can build out sort of a more general pipeline, or a flavor, if you will, for entrepreneurs to kind of take a look at and model themselves off of. So, for example, if you identify certain areas of need in a specific region, then entrepreneurs in that region are going to take a look at that model and say, okay, I think I can do this. And so I don't necessarily have to have a PhD, or I don't necessarily have to have worked in a lab for 10 years. I can put that company together. I can go for that quickfire challenge. I can get engaged with big pharma or even small or medium pharma and really start the process. And I think that really speaks to some of what Joe was mentioning earlier about how we engage those who aren't necessarily in the traditional academic system. And so in that way, we sort of work both globally and locally through both of those programs. The other thing I'll mention, too, is we had a pilot program this summer from our partners at Virginia Tech to bring some students at the undergraduate level on campus to do what we called a design sprint. And so what these students did was they came to our site. They met with some of our partners at Children's National. They were working in a specific area. They wanted to design a product. And so they heard from nephrologists at Children's National. They heard from expertise within the Johnson & Johnson scientific and business sectors. And within a week, they prototyped a way to do catheterization for pediatric patients that were suffering from nephrologic disease. So I think in that sense, having sort of these focused communities where you can bring people from the region together around a specific problem, have sort of a sprint, and then sort of allow that to bake into the ecosystem is another way in which we try to engage at some of our sites across the JLabs sites.
Joe, anything?
I don't.
We can move on.
You don't? So the question is about more national region, outside the region.
Yeah, outside the region, just like
yeah.
globally, nationally, things that we can build on, take an example, get inspired by.
Yeah, and I'll just point to one example that I think captures all of that. So AstraZeneca is the title sponsor for the USA Science and Engineering Festival, and this would normally be an event that's held in a location. I think it was supposed to be in Washington, D.C. in spring of 2020. And of course, the pandemic turned that could not happen. So it's unfortunate that we couldn't come together and inspire perhaps about 5,000 young people, in the area of STEM. But the good news is that they pivoted quickly, went digital like everyone did, and provided 3 different programs that were targeting not just middle schoolers and high schoolers and trying to inspire them about STEM, but also providing educational resources to parents and teachers, also providing resources for educators to do more effective STEM in the classroom. And it also provided some volunteer opportunities and outreach opportunities for our employees. And all told, in 2020, through the digital programming, they were able to reach hundreds of thousands of students and teachers and parents in over 100 countries. And so I just think that's much more equitable. And it's just an example of how we are trying to inspire talent all the way across the world and anybody who might influence that talent as well.
Right, so yeah, there's a lot of reasons we heard today to celebrate our successes, the life sciences industry, but, and it's great to hear all of these efforts happening nationally and globally. But bringing this back to Maryland and to here and the now, I'd like to ask Joe and Brian to formulate a call to action for our industry colleagues, but really all of us as the life sciences community. What can we take away from this conversation today that we can start doing tomorrow, first thing, okay, maybe after this conference, but first thing at our day jobs? How about, I'll start with Brian.
So I think, where to begin? But I think if you heard about all the great things that are happening for the people on this stage, right? There's so many opportunities and so many partnerships being formed and so many initiatives and efforts and so much passion for what we're trying to do. And I think it's fantastic, right? And so AstraZeneca is partnering with people over the world, and GSK and JLabs, and everyone's partnering with all these various people. I think what we're not doing today that I really think would really put us over the ledge and help us to get up with be one of the best in the world would be to do all that together. Right, and so imagine what we can do is if we took the power and the strength and the resources and the ingenuity and the passion and ideas from all these various organizations and threw it all into one bucket and said, go make some magic happen. So I think that's the next step, and I think it's what we've been, the 4 of us, with Ileana, of course, leading the charge here. What we've been trying to do with this partnership and this workforce, with this task force, is to really start to pull it together and really start to make some magic happen, so that we can, again, back to what I said to start the session, is to, what can we do to help patients and help society? And this is what we can do. This is our trick, and this is what we can do to really step up and make a difference. And so I think if you go back to your companies and your labs and your place of employment and think, well, what can I do? What can I do to work with the person sitting next to me, work with the company sitting next to me, to see what we can do to work together to get somewhere. And so I'm sure our contact info is out there and about somewhere, so we'd be happy to talk to anyone who'd be interested in engaging and participating. And if everyone can do their little part and do their little bit, I think we can really do something. And we can create an environment where people want to come to life sciences and say, man, that's where I want to be. This is where I can really make a difference. This is where I can really help save a lot of lives, is if I come to life sciences. And this is an opportunity to do just that.
Awesome. Joe?
So I would just say, with that in mind, if any of this resonates with you, please join us. We are an inclusive group. We have very good representation, but it can always be better. Right? It can always be better. And so your voices, your perspective really matters, and we invite it. We have 3 work streams. One work stream is focused on the marketing, right? Creating that value proposition and making sure that it cascades and that it gets broadcast through the richest of communication channels to reach talent wherever they are and at whatever stage of career development they're at. So if that is something that you can be passionate about and you want to contribute to, we would love your help. The second work stream is about, it's really about taking that message physically and delivering it physically to talent where they are. Okay, let's not make the assumption that they're going to find us. Let's not use hope as a strategy. We know that there are underrepresented communities, underprivileged communities, under-resourced communities. There are many lost Einsteins in STEM deserts throughout the state and throughout the region. We need to drive our message over to them. Also educating anybody that might influence those young people, and so they start tracking towards us. So if you, again, if you're passionate about high-touch engagement, Workstream 2 is for you. Workstream 3 is about experiential training opportunities, right? You can't get the job without the experience. You can't get the experience without the job. We're trying to tackle this chicken and egg conundrum. So if you believe that we need to create more training opportunities for students to do co-ops and internships and apprenticeships and shadowing and externships, Workstream 3 is for you. We're also trying to see if we can come together to develop our own Common Core curriculum, right? There must be technical skills and professional skills that cut across the entire biopharmaceutical industry and will make trainees competitive to enter the workforce here. So if we can come together, align, and write all of that down, perhaps there's an opportunity to standardize education in a way that it will recognize it, it's valuable to us, and we'll be looking for talent that's coming through that pipeline specifically. So.
Great. Well, it's been a great discussion, everyone, and on behalf of the Maryland Department of Commerce, I want to thank you for all the great work you've done for this effort, and I know that you will continue to do so if I have to say anything about it. May I just get one take-home message from each of you? Just one thought. If we remembered nothing from today, which of course is not going to happen, but what would the one thing you want everybody to remember walking away from this panel today? Let's start with Brian and go in the order, please.
Okay. So I'll say the take-home message from my perspective is that now is the time and to channel that passion into some activity and some real action to make something happen. And so as we've said, there's lots of opportunities to pull in talent from all kinds of diverse areas. And the time is right, politically and contextually. I mean, think about all the excitement, all what happened with COVID, right? And so let's take some of that momentum and turn it into, and expand it, frankly, into other areas. So to me, I'd say turn that passion into some action.
I would say that I would like everyone to be ambassadors and just share that there's a place for everyone. One of my biggest struggles when we're looking for talent at GSK is I can't find trade people, I can't find electricians, I can't find data analytic IT, I can't find project managers. So there's literally a place for everyone in biotech. There's a place for you to make a difference, even if you're not in the lab or you're not on the actual production floor. So just planting that seed as parents, as educators, as industry, just planting that seed that no matter what your interests are, you can find a place and be impactful within the biotech industry. So that would be my ending words.
Michael?
So I think that reflecting on what we're all trying to do here and what we all sort of believe in because we're here, I think that we've talked a lot about what we do, but an opportunity is great, but really to create that rising tide that lifts all boats and really builds something that we all have access to, it requires a high level of engagement from all of you. So, it's not just us up here talking about these programs that we've put together, these relationships that we're building, but really I want to encourage all of you to really be very engaged with each other and talking about what our workforce means to you, what Maryland means to you, and how we can build that better over the long term. Because those conversations that you have with each other and those questions that you might be hesitant to ask are very similar to things like when we think about vaccine hesitancy. We don't always say what we feel or think, and I think it's important to do that because that gives us an idea of where the needs are, where we need to go, and it engages all of us in a really meaningful conversation with each other instead of us just telling you what we're doing.
It's great. If I could just take a piece of each of those, I think of it this way. You know, there's an amazing mathematician out there, and you know, we need her to get engaged with machine learning and AI and quantum and revolutionize how we approach, let's say, animal studies or even clinical design studies. But right now she's being lured by the financial industry, you know, and we need to fight for her. Think about chemical engineers. Chemical engineers can go in a lot of different directions. And there's some right now over in energy or in oil or in automotive, and they're thinking about making a change, right? We need to fight for them too. So the biopharmaceutical industry has just stepped up to help save the world from a horrible pandemic. So we have the stage, we have the spotlight, it's mostly sunshine. We have the attention of a lot of people who might be considering a career in an impactful industry such as ours. So now is the time to out-hustle all the other industries and fight for that talent to capture the hearts and the minds of our potential future colleagues. So let's get out there.
That's wonderful, Joe. And on this high note, I think this is a perfect time for us to end this wonderful discussion. I want to thank the Maryland Tech Council one more time for organizing this conference and really being a great partner to us in all of our efforts regarding workforce development. I am acutely aware that this panel stands between this live audience and the cocktail reception. So with that, let's thank all of our panelists, and thanks so much for attending.